Welcome to the deep dive. So if you've ever, poured your heart into an organic kitchen garden, you'll know the feeling, that sinking feeling when you see those slimy trails, slugs and snails.
Oh, yeah. The overnight destruction crew. It's exactly the problem two students, Kesser and Steen, are dealing with. They're in Professor Hendricks' Nature and Innovation class.
Right, trying to figure out organic solutions for their garden.
Yeah.
And they went looking for advice, didn't they? From someone named Glitterfang at a local nursery.
That's the one. Glitterfang. And Kesser and Steen are right in the thick of it, trying to grow organically and just getting hammered by these pests.
So frustrating.
Yeah.
You do all the work, avoid the chemicals, and then bam, holy lettuce everywhere.
Totally. So our mission today really is to look at the advice Glitterfang gave them. A lot of organic tips get passed around, well-intentioned,
Yeah, but do they actually work?
Yeah.
Especially for slugs and snails. We want to sort of sift through Glitterfang's suggestions and see what holds up.
Exactly. Cut through the noise a bit. And it all kicked off with a pretty sharp question from Kesser and Steen themselves.
Oh, yeah? What was that?
They'd heard about Brix levels, the sugar content in plant sap, making plants more resistant to insects.
Okay.
And they wondered, well, could higher Brix also put off slugs and snails?
Interesting thought. Does it?
Well, the sources we looked at don't give a clear yes or no on that specific point. But it definitely got them thinking, got them investigating other organic angles.
And it's funny how experiences differ, isn't it? Kesser mostly saw slugs in damp, kind of decomposing spots.
Yeah, the usual suspects.
But Steen, he remembered seeing them out in the open almost. Like in strawberry fields, munching on lettuce. Seemingly cleaner areas.
Which just shows, doesn't it? They get everywhere. And you can almost see Steen's gears turning, thinking, okay, how do we really solve this? Maybe even turn it into something useful.
Right. So, Glitterfang, what was the first piece of advice you offered up?
One of the first things was nematodes. Specific beneficial ones like Phasmorhabditis hermaphrodita over in Europe or similar types elsewhere.
Nematodes. Tiny worms, right. How do they work?
You just water them into the soil. Glitterfang apparently called it zero effort once applied because these little guys actively hunt down slug larvae underground.
Oh, wow. Okay. Biological control. Using nature against nature, sort of.
Pretty much. They parasitize the slug larvae, so it's not an instant kill for the adults you see, but it tackles the next generation.
And if they establish in the soil, could that provide longer-term control?
That's the idea, a more sustainable approach than just reacting all the time.
Okay, interesting. Now, what about that Brix thing Kesser and Steen asked about? Did Glitterfang touch on that again?
She did. She mentioned noticing it herself, plants with higher Brix seem to have fewer insect problems.
So she saw the connection with insects, at least.
Yeah. And that observation seemed to kind of push her to explore other ways plants defend themselves. It points towards, overall plant health being key.
Right. Even if it's not proven for slugs specifically, a stronger, healthier plant is probably just better off, wouldn't you think?
Stands to reason, yeah. Maybe tougher leaves, maybe less appealing somehow. It fits the bigger picture of building resilient plants rather than just fighting symptoms.
Okay. What other tricks did Glitterfang have up her sleeve?
Well, she talked about rock dust. Really fine rock dust.
Rock dust, how's that used?
Two ways, it seems. Spraying it directly on plants as a kind of a quick rescue if insects are bad.
Okay.
But also creating trails of it on the ground around the garden beds. As a barrier for slugs, she noted that, some producers recommend this.
It's a barrier.
Yeah.
Because it's scratchy, or?
Yeah, probably. The fine particles might be abrasive, irritating for them to crawl over, maybe dries out their slime a bit too. It's a physical deterrent.
But she saw it as short term.
Definitely presented as more of a temporary measure, not the ultimate solution.
Gotcha. What else?
Kelp came up, seaweed extract.
Ah, kelp. Good fertilizer, right?
Exactly. She highlighted its mineral content coming from those cold ocean waters, packed with nutrients.
And how does that help with slugs, did she say?
The source doesn't explicitly connect the dots like kelp minerals repel slugs. It's more implied, again, tied to overall plant health.
So back to that theme, boost the plant's own strength and resilience with good nutrition, and maybe it can fend for itself better.
That seems to be the underlying logic, yeah. Stronger cell walls, maybe compounds that taste bad to slugs. It's about building that natural defense.
Makes sense. But Glitterfang wasn't just offering quick fixes, was she? She mentioned something longer term.
Oh, absolutely. She was quite clear, actually. No magic organic bullet. Her big emphasis was on building healthy soil.
The foundation.
Totally. Nutrient-dense living soil. That, she believes, is the real long-term key to growing vegetables, fruits, flowers. Anything, really, that's naturally more resistant to pests.
That feels like classic organic gardening wisdom, doesn't it? Feed the soil, not just the plant.
It really is. Healthy soil supports strong roots, efficient nutrient uptake. It creates plants that are just inherently tougher, less stressed, less vulnerable.
Okay, so focus on the soil. What about the environment above ground? Did she have tips there?
Yep. Reducing slug habitat. They love hiding, right? Damp, dark places.
Under pots, logs, thick mulch.
Exactly.
Ugh.
So her advice was, keep the ground around your vulnerable plants relatively clear, tidy things up, reduce those hiding spots.
Even cover crops, because those are usually seen as a good thing.
That was an interesting point she made. Cover crops are beneficial, yes, but they can also provide shelter for slugs, so it's a bit of a balance, something to be mindful of.
Right. Don't make it too cozy for them right next to the lettuce.
Pretty much. Make the garden less inviting during the daytime when they need to hide from the sun and predators.
Speaking of predators, did she talk about encouraging natural enemies?
She did. Mentioned making the garden welcoming for things like small snakes, toads, frogs, salamanders.
The natural slug patrol.
Yeah, creating that kind of mini ecosystem where predators help keep pest populations in check.
That sounds lovely, but maybe not practical for everyone. Snakes aren't everyone's cup of tea.
True. But toads and frogs might be more welcome. It's about fostering biodiversity.
What about birds and chickens? People often talk about chickens for pest control.
She addressed chickens, but her experience, they mostly just eat the really tiny slugs, like smaller than your pinky nail.
Not the big bruisers, then.
Apparently not. And the other issue with chickens, they also like eating your vegetables.
Ah, yes, there's that. So maybe not ideal right in the veggie patch.
Probably not, unless you're very careful. It's a trade-off.
Did she have better luck with other birds, like ducks?
Ducks, yes. Much more positive experience there. She keeps them fenced off near the kitchen garden, not right in it.
And they go for the slugs.
Oh yeah, apparently they're quite enthusiastic slug hunters. And maybe less likely to demolish the actual crops compared to chickens.
Okay, so ducks might be a viable option if you have the space and setup. Seems more targeted.
It does. A contained duck patrol. It's a more manageable approach for some people, perhaps.
And wild birds. Did she think they made a difference?
She considered the idea of wild birds being major slug predators more of a theory, perhaps. Not something she'd seen definitively solve the problem.
But still good to have around.
Oh, absolutely. She felt birds are a great addition to any garden anyway, for pollination, eating other insects, just general ecological health. And they're nice to watch.
Can't argue with that. Okay, this is all useful stuff. But wasn't there something where Glitterfang kind of debunked some common advice?
Yes. This was really interesting. She talked about those common physical barriers people try.
Like what? Copper tape, eggshells?
Things like razor blades, believe it or not, broken glass, coarse seaweed, stuff people recommend leaving trails of.
Whoa, razor blades. Yikes. Did that even work?
According to Glitterfang's direct experience, no. She found snails can just slime right over them.
Seriously, over razor blades.
Mucus? They produce loads of protective slime. Apparently, especially when it's wet, they can glide over sharp, abrasive things surprisingly well.
Wow. Okay, that really challenges some widely held beliefs. Broken glass, too.
Same deal, based on her observations. That protective layer of mucus is pretty effective.
So all those well-meaning tips might actually be kind of useless.
It certainly seems that way for those specific sharp barriers, according to her experience. It's a really crucial takeaway, isn't it? Just because advice is common doesn't mean it's effective.
Definitely makes you think. Okay, so let's try and pull this together. We've gone through Glitterfang's advice for Kesser and Steen. What are the main things listeners should take away from this deep dive?
Well, it seems like the approaches with more promise, organically speaking, are things like the nematodes.
Underground slug assassins.
Right, and maybe ducks if you can manage them in a controlled way. Plus, focusing on that long-term soil health to build strong plants.
And reducing habitat, tidying up hiding places.
Exactly, those seem more grounded. But on the flip side, those sharp physical barriers, like razor blades or glass, maybe not so reliable.
Yeah, Glitterfang's experience really casts doubt on those.
It does, and it highlights a bigger point, really. Organic gardening advice often comes from a good place, shared to help.
But its actual effectiveness can really vary. Depends on your garden, the specific pests, the conditions.
Totally. What works wonders for one person might do nothing for another.
So maybe the final thought for listeners. Given that Glitterfang debunked these common snail barriers, what other widely accepted organic truths might be worth questioning in your own garden? Maybe something you've always done because you heard you should.
That's a great point. It encourages a bit of garden detective work, doesn't it? Observe your slugs, your snails, see what they actually avoid, experiment a little, find out what truly works for you.
Become your own Glitterfang in a way. Test things out.
Exactly. Don't just follow dogma. See what delivers results in your patch.